Alright, we're back, and we have with us Heponwana, who's going to be doing the King's Dungeon World 1+2 100%. How you doing, Heponwana?
I am doing great.
And your eyes probably do not deceive you. This is the Playdate, which is that new little handheld you might have seen on the internet. I have never seen a speedrun on this before, so I'm very curious to see how all of this goes.
Yeah, it's a fun little console, and they even built this with speedrun in mind. You could record your fastest times on this, so this is a fun little toy. And this is the King's Dungeon. It is kind of a Metroidvania, no combat, nothing too flashy, no photosensitivity warnings, and it's just kind of chill deep down at its heart. And we're going to run through the entire game. So World 1 and World 2, 100% means we have to collect all power-ups and all optional trinkets, which in this game are cheese. So time will begin as soon as I click A on World 1 here. So let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. So you are this little guy. You were thrown into the King's Dungeon because you ate the royal cheese, which, I mean, can you blame you? I mean, royal cheese, who doesn't want that? That up there was a piece of cheese. We will collect all of those because that is the point of 100%. Here's one of those optional cheeses. Some of them are in your path, some are quite hidden. If you die, you restart at the start of a room. That one you could not go any quicker, so figured it's a good time to show what a brief death looks like. Hopefully we don't see too many in this run, but you never know. Also, this game takes full advantage of something called coyote jumping. I just got our first power-up and our first hidden cheese. Power-up lets us climb these chain walls. So, coyote jumping, it is named after Wile E. Coyote, you know, from Looney Tunes fame. He would run off of a ledge and then be able to stand there for a second with his sign saying, "Yikes." And in the case of, in this game, once you fall off a ledge, you could jump at any point until you hit the ground. Then you could jump again. So, right there you saw I walked off that ledge and jumped mid-air. So we're going to go up here now. We cannot jump over those spike balls without being hit. I'm doing this reset this room cycle so I could get through as quick as possible. Sometimes deaths are intended on this, sometimes they're accidental. I won't tell you which ones are accidental because I'll just pretend they were intended. And now we get the crank key. I mentioned the Playdate has a crank on it. Different games use it for different things. On this, we use it for the crank key, which we use the crank to open doors. Now we grab that cheese from earlier. Carefully get over that spike ball and just keep on running along. We'll revisit that cheese later, because there is always time for more cheese. And now we get everyone's favorite Metroidvania power-up, the double jump. I mean, who does not enjoy a double jump? It is the power-up we are always waiting for in a Metroidvania. Quick death to reset in that room and get out of there without having to circle back. And then we will grab this cheese and continue on our way. If any of you know the game Ascent on the Pico 8, game developer, I forget his name, or her name, I think it's his name, wanted to, and this is an intended death, and that one wasn't intended. It's sometimes easier in this room to set the cycle based off of a death, and there we go. And we'll have an intended death again in this room. Grab that cheese so we could get out there. But Pico, on the Pico 8, somebody decided to take up the challenge of making a Microvania, so a micro Metroidvania. They made a game called Ascent, and this game was made off of inspiration of, if you can make Ascent on the Pico 8, can you make something like that on the Playdate? And yes, you can. And now my favorite as a speedrunner power-up, as I get just a hair too close, your hitboxes are very finicky in this game, so it's good to be mindful of that. But they wanted to make a Microvania on the Pico, or on the Playdate, And so they made this, which is an amazing, like, kind of experiment into making a, game you wouldn't think of on this little console. And we have all our power-ups, of course, so after we grab this, wanted to grab that without falling down or going too far. Final power-up is we blow up blocks. I call this Super Saiyan mode, because if you know Dragon Ball Z with people just going, ah, and energy exploding around them, that's all that this one is, like, ah, boom. And now we are almost done with this world. Usually World 1 is its own category, World 2 is its own category, but I like showing them off as a joint thing because it just feels like more of a complete experience, and it's such a cool game. You really want to just see all of it. These final rooms, super dangerous and super tricky. Very easy die here. And now, open this final one. Here's the king. We'll grab a cheese in front of him, talk with him. We have to listen to him ramble, and he's going to go on and on. If you hit B to cancel out from this, you have re-listen to the whole dialogue. And a system of government made off of women distributing swords from lakes is very weird indeed. That's what the king just said back there. And now we go into World 2. World 2 starts with us seeing the king. We're not going to talk to him. We'll talk to him later. We have to talk to him to finish this. Jumping on ladders is finicky. It increases your speed a little, but you have to reset pressing up every single time. If you don't, and you can't go through there in one cycle, if you don't press up again, you won't automatically grab if you keep holding up, and you'll just fall down. Earlier I mentioned you can't jump over those balls because of hit cycles, so we do have, or your hitbox is a little bigger than it looks, so we want to be very mindful to not be greedy and try and jump over balls that we can't. Example of our coyote jump, this stage, this world, requires, our power-ups are a different order this time to make it a lot more interesting. But what's fun is this world requires a lot more specific and finicky of moves. Coyote jumping is required to beat this one. Also, we are going to have a pretty much a frame perfect or pixel perfect, jump coming up later on. And that's not part of the speedrun, that's part of the casual route, but casual and speedrun both have a pixel perfect jump, which is really interesting for a game like this. Really throws the challenge up. This time we could do this room in one cycle. Going one way, you can't do it in one cycle. Going the other way, yes you can. By the way, I just want to give a second to listen to this music.
Yeah, it's good music, and I think it's really interesting that there's a pixel perfect jump in the casual playthrough as well.
Yeah, we're going to see some interesting mechanics that are required for... So here we fall down on purpose, but notice how big that jump is, and you're like, how do you even get across that? If you're playing casually, you wouldn't understand the coyote jumping most likely. This guy would actually explain it to you, and that's how we're going to get through. So we go back here, and there we go. Real tricky. It took me a while to understand that when I first played this casually, because I didn't understand that the coyote jumping could be that liberal. It really just lets you jump at any point until you touch the ground. And now everyone's favorite, get that crank going again. We got the crank key. I always like to joke, I'm not cranky at all because I get that crank key and can continue on. So we will now head back to the king, still not talking to him. He threw us in dungeon. I don't want to talk to that guy. He's kind of a jerk. And by a jerk, I mean, actually, I stole his cheese, so I'm kind of the jerk, but it's all the same. I'm not talking to him. I'm holding a grudge about the cheese. Ooh, did not mean for that one, but it's okay. This one is not quite frame perfect or pixel perfect, but it is very close. Like, that is a very tricky fall. You only have, a couple frames to match up to it. Here is kind of tricky because pressing down is the button for your Super Saiyan power, but pressing down is also how you climb down ladders, and you could kind of get stuck back there. We have another very hidden cheese, and we're about to get my favorite power-up as a speedrunner. You know what it is? The dash. Let's move a little quicker. And that just feels so much better, having that dash going along. Let's just go past that king as quick as we can. And we're going to use that dash to go some new areas, but we're also going to have a lot of backtracking. So it's kind of interesting. This world has a lot of backtracking to do, because we are going to open up small areas. Like I said, those hitboxes are very finicky. Very, very finicky. This happens a little bit, but it's all good. We're just going to pretend all of this is normal. I'm just showing how big these hitboxes are, and also letting marathon jitters get just the tiniest bit to me, because, you know, always get a little excited being at an event. And there we go, we are through there. All is good. This is some very finicky jumps right here, including blind ones that, you know, you don't see what's coming across the other side of the screen. They really make that a little tricky on the runner, but it's all good. And we'll use that dash to get back in a hurry. We'll go a little smoother right here because it's easier the other way around. That first way is kind of finicky, but it's all good. And now we are going to go back to the king. Once again, don't talk to him. We are still holding a grudge. He put us in the dungeon. And now comes a room that one of my friends calls the Meat Boy room. Because once you start dying, it becomes like Super Meat Boy, and you just face a bunch of deaths. Luckily, I got through without facing any deaths, because that room gets really tricky. Once you die a little, you know, you just keep falling, and luckily we're not seeing that this time. And now we have the chain climb, the wall climb. Go through here, another hidden cheese. That guy wants to talk to us. We're in a hurry. We're not going to talk to him right now, but it's all good. And now, once again, a little easier going this direction than the other direction. And we are going to use that chain climb ability to go back to one of our first areas again, all the way to the top here. And we're coming up really soon. After grabbing 2 more cheeses, we will be at that pixel perfect jump, and we'll hopefully get through it quickly. We'll see how it goes. Anytime I think it'll be a problem, it goes easy. Anytime I think it'll go easy, it's a problem. So I'm going to hope that it's a problem, and that way it'll be easy. That makes sense, right? So here it is. Ooh, barely missed. And the problem is, if you miss it, you really fall back a far ways. So we've got to be very careful here. So it does take a few attempts. Ideally, you get the first try, but like I said, it is incredibly, especially with hitboxes in this game, it's incredibly tricky. So let's just try a couple more times, because we've got to get through this. And we will. It is, like I said, pixel perfect. And while I'm doing this, if there's any good announcements, it's a great time for it.
We do have actually a donation that just came in a few seconds ago from Buzzer Yum Yum, $25 from Buzzer, saying, "Get that cheese!" Your other favorite cheese. Thank you so much, Buzzer.
Buzzer Yum Yum is my partner. Thank you so much. Always supports me. And see, ended up because of the power of support from a great partner. Got through that. Always count on friends and family and loved ones to keep you good. And here we go. We are in the end game now. So we have the double jump, which will let us climb this final ascent. But we have a few little tricks to this. It is definitely not the easiest platforming. They definitely make World 1 the very accessible one, and World 2 the expert course. before we leave, we have another hidden cheese, and time will be coming up after the king stops talking to me. So as soon as the screen goes black in about 4 seconds, and time, right there. And yes, that was the end of the game. Got all the cheeses. Had a little bit of a mishap with the time on that last part of, trying to get up that tower with the pixel perfect. But still, that was the game. It's a lot of fun. If any of you end up with a playdate and want to speedrun a really fun game, there's 4 categories to this. It's the cutest little console. They include this overlay that you're seeing is put out by Panic, the makers of the playdate, to let you capture the playdate on your computer, all button inputs, all off of just a USB-C cable. So it is super easy speedrun to video capture, to stream, to share. Like, it is just a fun little console that, if you get a chance to play it, it brings just a smile to your face.
Yes, indeed. And I also want to mention, with that last donation, we did hit $1,500 raised for Take This. Thank you so much, everybody. That's amazing.
Nice. Yeah, and if anyone wants to catch me at any point, I do stream on Twitch. Channel name is Heponwana, just like my regular name you're seeing here. Stream a few days per week. Speedruns, always indie games. Well, almost always indie games. Most of my speedruns are indie titles because they always have so much personality. I love showing off these games that, creators put so much love into, and you could just feel that pride and love in their product.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Heponwana.